sure. Yeah, so I think we could probably get started. Yeah, so if you could give a brief kind of intro of your background and how you came to actually build Perpetual Protocol, that'd be great.
Sure, sure. So I'm an engineer. So I graduated from I get my master degree in Taiwan. I studied in National Children University a long time ago. After graduation, I worked a while and then actually start my own kind of a company since maybe 20 years ago, a long time ago. I've been working on different different ideas. So I worked in fintech, gaming and social apps before. I tried to do different things, and some of them actually had good returns. We sold the company, but and of course some of them doesn't really go anywhere. So I think that's pretty much it. But so we actually kind of so my co-founder and I, we kind of discovered the crypto in 2017, mostly because of the CryptoKitty. We have been building game before, so we really feel this really is exciting opportunities. We can build blockchain games, but after study a while, we actually found that the DeFi is actually more interesting. The whole, building the whole financial system on top of blockchain. So we actually, make a decision that we should actually go after this. We have our own kind of design the first a decentralized options protocol, I think in 2018, which is actually ahead of the whole DeFi, wave. But so it actually failed, and then the market crashed. So we ended up joining so Binance actually have a accelerator in San Francisco at that time. So we joined that. We work on different idea, and then the end of 2018, we actually pivot back to trying to work on DeFi full time. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
That's interesting that you did worked on the centralized options, because I know that's been kind of a we haven't really seen a centralized option product that's really kind of gained adoption. So I was curious, how come you wanted to then switch from doing doing options to actually doing for perpetual futures and making that and doing that in the decentralized manner?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Of course, I'm not 100% for sure about this, but option is actually just too complicated to build this on chain. Option is it sounds really easy, but the financial implication of how to price the option is actually pretty complex. If we want to do it on chain, it actually create lots of opportunities for people to fund run that. So I don't know how to. Maybe some people in the future they can figure that out, but I think it's just really hard. And the option also you have a lot of segmentation or a fragmentation of the market, because you have different strike price, and then you have different expiration date. There, you also have call and put option, so it creates a lot of market at the same time. So yeah, so that's I think we pick a perpetual contract is just because it's much easier. You only have one market, and then it's perpetual, so you don't have expiration. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And for people who aren't that familiar with kind of derivatives or crypto derivatives, do you mind just defining what a perpetual future is and why it's kind of such a powerful instrument, as well as kind of the reasons why it's been so, and the reason why we've seen so much volume for them in crypto? Because I think there is that is a unique aspect of it.
Yeah. So perpetual swap or perpetual contract is actually, I think, start from BitMEX. So in 2015 or 2016. So at that time, there is actually no stable coin on the blockchain. So everything, so there are several chains. There are Bitcoin, Ethereum just get started, and then there are other chains XRP and other thing. So BitMEX, they have this problem that I want to trade. Of course, we can create a centralized platform. To trade all the token. But what happens if we can only settle in one token? which means that everyone can trade using Bitcoin, but you can trade other instrument. So that's why they come up with this perpetual swap contract. So in short, perpetual swap is kind of like a futures contract without expiration. So a futures contract is widely traded in traditional finance. So it's kind of like I want to trade Bitcoin. So I actually kind of have agreement with my counterparty that maybe like in a week, like after next Saturday, I want to like buy Bitcoin at 55,000, and then my counterparty will sell me Bitcoin at this price. We can actually have the arrangement like in the future. So that's futures contract you use. It actually has like 200 years like history. So perpetual contract is like so what their thinking is that what happens if we have a future contract that actually expire every day? So my example is that it expire in a week. But what happens if we can have a contract that expire every day? But instead of we pay off, I pay the counterparty, or the counterparty pay myself. We settle right away. They actually create another mechanism called funding payment. So it kind of like I don't really settle that contract, but I depend on the price difference. I actually pay my counterparty. So if the expectation is higher, I actually pay more, and then it's lower, actually my counterparty pay me. So that's actually how it works. So I can actually have a contract that won't expire. So it will perpetually go on. After for a very long time, but every day, most of the chain they do this every hour or every 8 hours. There's a funding payment that I might pay out or I might receive to try to keep the price packed to other exchange. So that's how it works. I think the reason is just like, if we have this kind of design, we can actually pick any price fee. So I can trade, like oil. I can trade Tesla stock. I can trade the weather. Any kind of like serious like the data point, I can actually trade. So I think that's why BMax come up with this, and then it's actually widely traded in most of the centralized exchange.
Yeah, thank you for the kind of definition explanation. And before we kind of dive into how Perpetual Protocol actually works, could you just give us some understanding of the need to actually do perpetuals in a decentralized fashion, as opposed to just trading on FTX or whatever?
Sure, that's a really good question. So I think the first thing is that on a centralized exchange, it's not only perpetual, it's also like spot trading or any trading on centralized exchange. You have to trust that exchange. You have to trust Binance, you have to trust FTX. Why I'm saying that is because they own the order book. So which means that, for example, if I am running a exchange and then I want to actually get a piece of all the trading, I can actually, because I see all the all the orders coming in, I can actually be the counterparty of everyone, and then I earn a small fee on top of that. So I see that you are actually buying like Bitcoin at maybe like 60,000. I can actually sell you a little bit more because I know that that's the price you want to buy, right? So that's actually the reason that why there are lots of regulations on the traditional finance. On if you want to run an exchange, they actually have. I think the regulators actually can go in and then check the order book. Are you actually making any thing? Do you change the order of the order book? Do you have create some unnecessary buying big order within that? So they actually check lots of things. They also have lots of regulations on market makers, because market makers actually kind of control the price. so it has to be transparent. They have to review all the trades. So so that's why I mean like the decentralized exchange, the same. I mean like Binance, of course. I mean it's the biggest one. I mean like people trust Binance, but to be honest, like why do you want? I mean, is there any like way for you to verify that? Actually, no. So that's why we want to build it on chain because you can actually verify that. I mean, all the transactions in Perpetual Protocol or in a Uniswap or in other place, it's all transparent. I mean, you can verify it. If someone actually wants to do a kind of like a sandwich attack, like I mentioned, you will notice that lots of discussion on that. Or like if the team actually creates some backdoor, people will find out. So I think that's definitely the reason, like the first reason. I would say the second thing is that on blockchain, I mean, because it's all transparent, so we don't really, I mean, like in FTX or like Binance, market makers, they have preferred fees. So they got, I mean, like they actually got fee rebates, but we don't. I mean, like the retail don't. But the reason, of course, is obvious that they trade more, right? But to be honest, I mean, why? I mean, if there is a rule, it should kind of like everyone who conform to that rule should be entitled to that fee discount or entitled to that or like rewards or anything. So that's actually the second part, that every rules that's on Perpetual Protocol or on other decentralized, projects is open to everyone. So we want to, we just kind of like inclusive. We want to have the rule. I mean, like for everyone can apply that rule. We don't really have a whitelist. We don't do anything like that. So I think that's the second part that, of course, is go back to like you can actually trust the decentralized project. Yeah.
And kind of within the same vein of making it kind of either more accessible or open to everyone. And in the design of like Perpetual Protocol, was there a focus on making it more consumer friendly? Because there are a lot of, because like a lot of these products in DeFi are not like UX is not that friendly to consumers or just like the average like retail trader or investor. And we haven't seen kind of a shift to almost being like less friendly. Definitely like Uniswap V2 to V3, it's become now a lot harder, I think, for the average person to use it. So I was curious if that was part of the kind of like design decisions as went into like how you structured the protocol on the front end.
Yeah, that's a very good question. So I think we are, the whole like perpetual contract is a little bit harder to understand. So right now, I think most of the people who trade on top of us are more like sophisticated traders. I do hope that either like our front-end team or like other people can pick up this and then build a really easy to use like front-end for everyone. I mean, we have grant for that. Really, if anyone are interested in doing that, definitely welcome. And but one thing I want to say is that even if the perpetual swap contract is still like it's not for everyone, but I will mention that we actually have like a group of like program traders who actually don't really have like they don't work like in like Goldman Sachs or like JP Morgan before. They are not traded before. They just know how the project works, and then they actually can build some like bots, or like they can have their own trading strategy, and then they're actually earning money because of this, because of that knowledge. I do feel that although it's a little bit more complex, but if you really interested in this, if you study, I think actually you can either go through our UI, or you can actually write some program and write a smart contract that utilize us. I think that's actually we are seeing more and more people doing this. I found around the globe. Everywhere. So I think that's actually a bigger opportunity that like retail can try if you can program. Yeah.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Kind of shifting to the protocol itself, could you describe the So like, kind of like what a virtual AMM is on a high level compared to like the typical kind of AMMs that we see in Uniswap and other centralized exchanges, then kind of and also go into how it's sort of like the core part of the protocol.
Sure, of course. I think like everyone should know like how Uniswap V2 works. So it's a SYK model. So they have like two pools. So I mean, like for example, like ETH markets, ETH and maybe like USDC. And then if I want to, I mean, get ETH, I actually put in USDC in one of the pool, and then I can get some ETH from another pool. So it's kind of like a exchange protocol. So what what the Perpetual Protocol that did is that so the thing we want to have is that we want to have leverage on top of it. So we want like people can trade like so they put in collateral and then can trade like 2x or 3x. I mean they're at of their collateral and then earn profit, or like you want to hedge. So it's more capital efficient. So what we have is, so we actually have kind of like the whole like Perpetual Protocol system is actually two components. So we have the first component that the traders can put in collateral, like Alice, she want to have, I mean, long ETH with 100 USDC and then 2x leverage. So she can actually put in 100 USDC into our pool. We actually put it aside, just a vote, and then we put and then we actually mint 200 virtual USDC because she wants a 2x average. So with this 200 virtual USDC, we then put into, so we have this second component that's actually the AMM. So we use the AMM as a pricing engine. So we put the 200 virtual USDC into the AMM, just like what I described like previously. We put in virtual USDC and then we can get some virtual ETH out. So those virtual ETH is actually Alice's long position. And then after a while, market might goes up and down a little bit. Let's suppose that market goes up a little bit. The Alice can actually sell her position back to the AMM, its pricing engine, and then take some virtual USDC out. Let's suppose that she actually earned some virtual USDC. So we say that she take like 210 virtual USDC out, and then there is a debt like 200 virtual USDC. So she ends up earns 10 USDC. So in general, we have this minting part that actually mints virtual asset based on your collateral. So I think that's actually the center of our Perpetual Protocol and how it works. Yeah.
Is this actually?
So, yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no. I'm just saying that. Yep, that's about it. Also, we have a V2 that's more complicated, but
Okay.
I think that's a simple form. Yeah.
Sure. Is this actually more gas efficient and actually and like cheaper to trade with as opposed to using a normal AMM?
Compared to Uniswap V2, I think it's definitely more complex. So it's I think we use like 2x of gas than Uniswap V2. The reason is that because we actually have that. We have lots of like a check before put the virtual token into the AMM. So I think that part actually costs some gas. Yeah.
Interesting. And somebody actually just asked in the chat. So in this kind of scenario we just described, where you're trading with like 2x leverage on ETH, for example, or 2x leverage on USDC, what happens if ETH crashes? Or are there kind of like ripple effects within the AMM? Are there sort of like reserves in the AMM to deal with that? Or yeah, just like how does that function?
Okay, yeah, that's a great question. So suppose that ETH crash. So there are actually two scenarios that the ETH crash and then people actually are selling ETH on our platform. So we have this pricing engine. So actually people are putting like a virtual ETH there and then get a lot of it, so USDC out. So the price actually goes down. And then Alice, so let's suppose that the ETH actually goes down to like, so before, I mean, like, so, okay, so when Alice made the trade, the ETH was like 4,000, and then the ETH is like 3,000 right now. So she can actually put the virtual ETH back to our, I mean, like ANM, and then get the virtual USDC out, and then the virtual USDC might worth only like 150 right now. So her PNL is actually minus like 50. So if she want to withdraw, she can also only withdraw $50 because she put in like $100. So and then minus the loss she had, so only like $50 left. If the ETH actually crash more, and then it actually goes down to like $1,000, which means that she actually doesn't have enough collateral to pay back the debt. So before it goes down to $1,000, we will actually sell. I mean, we will liquidate her ETH position or like her collateral in order to pay back the debt. So her position will actually be liquidated, and then she will only get something back, maybe like $2 or $3 back. Yeah. So we do have, because it's leverage platform, so we do have this liquidation system that try to, I mean, maintain all the, I mean, like there's actually no loss in the whole system. Yep. Does it make sense?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Jadu, did that answer your question? Cool.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so I'm just curious, like, because it is a protocol, but you also kind of have a front end, are there people building on top of it? And also, if so, like, are you incentivizing this? Is this something you're prioritizing, or is it really just making kind of the core protocol plus the front end as good as possible?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we have so our team itself, we have several engineers like building the front end. So we have a default one, but there are actually not only like one team, but there's like one team like Apex. So they actually build another front end on top of Perpetual Protocol. So you can actually go through their front end. So yeah, we definitely I mean, like so we have this grant program that actually will provide grants if people want to build on top of us. So I do believe that there are another team that building a mobile, I mean, like app for Perpetual Protocol, and then there are also like other projects like Skate DAO. They have this like kind of like a front end for kind of like your like DeFi wallet. I mean, so it's a DeFi wallet, so you can actually trade like Perpetual on top of it. So we also work with them and provide this kind of service. So yeah, go back to your question. Yes, we incentivize people to do this. Like if anyone, I mean, like is interested in this, like definitely reach out to me.
Yeah, very cool. Noel, you have a question?
So, I was just wondering, like, I know the like derivative space is starting to like get very competitive, and Protocol was one of the first like I guess like people to actually like launch for users. Like you guys were back in like Q1 or Q2 of 2021, which is awesome. But now with like the hype around like DYDX and Engine, and I know Derivadex is supposed to come on at the end of this year. What's your kind of like thought process about all the like different competitors that are coming out? And like it seems like a lot of people are shifting more toward kind of products that are similar to Perp protocol. But yeah, I was just wondering your thoughts on that.
Sure, I think that's a great question. So because I think we are still like very early, I would say that so all of our competitors or like people in this like derivative or perpetual I mean like swap field, we actually take all of us, we take different approach. So like you mentioned, DYDX, they are more, so they they have their own like layer 2 system they build on top of Stockware, and it's an older book model. It's very different from us. So I mean, older book model is a little bit harder to be composable, and but at the same time, it's more efficient. So I mean, like market maker likes older book, so they actually can kind of like it's very similar to what they were working. I mean, on centralized chain, so it's easier for them to integrate. And older book also you have like different like older type that native can build in. But for us, we are more like you know, we are kind of like AMM maximalists. So we only build AMs. So on AMs, it's much easier to be composable. I mean, like, I mean, it's because of course the first thing is that it's not as kind of efficient as older book, so it's actually suitable to build on top of most of the chains. So like on Arbitrum or other place, I mean, like it's actually much reasonable to build an AM. And the second thing is that it's more predictable. Predictable means that because you know, like liquidity provider, you can only provide liquidity in a range. But for like traditional order book, people place orders. I mean, like you know, like can play, but they can actually, I mean, they actually watch very close, like the income. I mean, like kind of like high frequency trading. They watch very close, like all the orders, and then they actually replace the order like within seconds. So that, I mean, all the market makers are really good at this. So it's not really that predictable, but of course, AMA is much slower. It's more predictable, so it's easier to build on top of it. And so I think that's why we want to build AMM. I do feel that AMM are kind of like a key to the success of all the DeFi projects, because it's more like automatic, and then it's also like much easier to bootstrap. We don't need a market maker, but you have to have a market maker first. Yeah, so I think that's the difference between an older book system and then different from us and other like non-older book system. I think you know, different projects. I mean, it's early, so different projects actually have different way to build AMM. So we kind of like have this virtual token thing, and then our V2 also utilize Uniswap V3, which is a really complicated system, but it creates more opportunities for liquidity providers because they actually can specify the range they want to provide liquidity. So that's our way. There are others like future swap. They are more like margin trading system. That's really cool. So they build on top of other exchange. I mean, like Uniswap V3's liquidity. At the same time, they have their own like liquidity pool. Google Bat, of course. I mean, like they are not virtual tokens, so they can only like trade like projects. I mean, have token on the Ethereum network, which means that they cannot trade like dot, like Polkadot, because it's not on Ethereum. But still, I mean, like they have like you know, like the good thing and bad thing, and then they are like MC guys. They have their own like construction of the pricing engine. So I think that's really cool as well. So compete with others, I think we just want to, you know, we think the Uniswap V3 concentrate liquidity model is the best. Of course, other people feel that, you know, their way is the best. So we just compete. I mean, like, you know, we will like, you know, put all of our efforts on like trying to make our product better. So yeah, I hope this answered your question. Yeah.
That was a great explanation. And thank you guys for what you guys are doing. It's a really great product. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks for the question. Yeah.
How do you guys actually view like deploying on different chains? Like you mentioned Arbitrum, for example. Are there plans to deploy on rollups? And if so, how does that change in any way how the protocol functions, or not really?
If we deploy on like you know, most of the EVM compatible chains, I don't think it affects a lot. So our V2 we will deploy on Arbitrum first, and I think one of the requirements we have is that we have to deploy on the chain that Uniswap V3 deployed. So they only deploy on Arbitrum and Optimism. So I think we will start with these two. And after, there are more deployment or like SushiSwap, they are actually working on a kind of like a competitive product of Uniswap v3 they call Trident. So if they have that, we can actually also build on top of that. And then SushiSwap has been running on like maybe like more than 10 chains already. So yeah, I think that's also, so yeah, we want to build on more chains, and then we have to wait for Uniswap v3 has more adoption.
Got it. That makes sense. And yeah, so you just mentioned like the typical issues of kind of front running. I was curious, like how does MEV actually factor into the protocol design, and specifically for V2? I don't know if that was like that much of a consideration in kind of the first iteration, but for the second iteration, I was wondering, yeah, if this was kind of on the top of your guys' minds, and whether you've seen different kind of MEV attacks in the past.
Yes, I do think that there are people. I mean, like definitely. I mean, this is. I don't think that we have a way to avoid this right now. I mean, like, so on Perpetual Protocol, I don't know like how big it is. We don't, but we do notice that people are kind of like doing lots of trading. I mean, I try to follow everyone, and I would not say. I mean, I think we don't really have a way to avoid this right now. I think it's more like on the like how the underlying blockchain design, I mean, can avoid this. We will be like running on. I mean, there will be like more and more like layer 2 chains. I mean, like Arbitrum, Optimism. They all have like different views on how to solve it.
Yeah.
So hopefully they can come out. I mean, like it's very different way to solve it. I don't really know like which one will win, but I mean, hopefully they can solve it. But right now, I would just say that if you are really like want to avoid this, you should go with like Flashbot or like other projects. Like try to just don't reveal your trades. Yeah.
That makes sense. And just the last question before we kind of open it up to everybody. I was curious, so for people who are not that familiar with trading, or maybe they traded on some centralized exchanges before, like how do you recommend people get up to speed on kind of like decentralized either derivatives or just trading in general in DeFi?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. I actually think that you don't. I mean, like, so the way is you don't really spend more on trading. I would say you actually, you can pick a project you like, and then you can try to, go into the Discord, and I do believe that most of project they have a grant program. I mean, grant program not only for the builders, there are grant programs for the community, for like making material. I actually feel that if you can work with like some of the projects, and then try to be, I mean, like try to understand how the whole like DeFi project works. I actually think that's actually better than going into trading. That's what personally what I believe. I mean, like if you know more like how the project works, you can either like work on your own project if you want. I mean, there are lots of opportunities. The whole industry kind of just get started. Like even if we know like a derivative, that it's a huge space, but only perpetual contract that actually has a significant margin. Like options and interest rate swap. There are so many projects. I mean, like different type of products that should get some attention, but don't. So if you are interested in that, I would say just like go into like project Discord and then try to work with like some of the project, and then know more people, and then know how they works, and then that actually I would say that actually benefit more than just going to and trade. Yeah, that's why I would say yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I think that's great advice. Yeah, so if anybody has any questions, feel free to like raise your hand, unmute, or put them in the chat. Actually, yeah, I have another question. So how do you, I mean, Noel asked about kind of competition, but I'm curious, like how do you see this developing the next couple of years? Will there be a couple different kind of like decentralized perpetual projects, or do you think it'll sort of aggregate between like, or just like aggregate with like one main project that kind of does it
Yeah,
best?
that gotcha. Yeah, that's a good question. So I do believe that there will be like it's not like winner take all, but winner take most. So
Okay.
it's kind of like Uniswap right now. So Uniswap have more than 50% of the DEX trading volume. I mean spot trading. So I would
Yeah.
say, the one project that doing like perpetual swap, like doing really well, they will take like 50, more than 50, and then the rest, I mean,
Mhm.
the different project actually will focus on different vertical, I mean, of that
Got it.
instrument. Yeah. So
That makes
that,
sense.
yeah. Mhm.
Noel, a question.
Well, when you mentioned Uniswap, like maybe this is a stupid question, but you know how they're aggregators with different AMMs um like 1inch or pair swap or matcha
Mhm.
or whatever. They use AMMs. Is there a possibility to um like have aggregators for dexes, or because it's a derivative, like that doesn't really make sense because all that is spot trading. um it's just
Mhm.
a question that like popped into my mind, and like I don't know. And then the second thing was, I was curious, like with a lot of the crackdowns this summer in China. I know a
Mhm.
lot of users, like there was a ton of inflow to like per protocol and DYDX, and some of the others as well. And I was wondering like what was what was that like for you guys? Um, but
Mhm.
yeah, two separate questions.
Cool. Yeah. So these are great questions. So I think the first thing is that I definitely believe there will be an aggregator for derivative. So like you mentioned, in traditional finance, they are actually this kind of roles. Um, so yeah, so I do believe, so I mean like it's actually called prime broker. So prime broker actually kind of like, because like derivative is actually more complex. So there's a role like prime broker actually try to manage the margin for you. So you kind of like trade with prime broker, and a prime broker trade with like different like financial institute or like exchange. I mean, on behavior of you, and then try to do the close margin for you. I do believe that they will be like something like this in decentralized world, and kind of like aggregator, but aggregate like so we have like perpetual contract and then also like options. So like our protocol, I mean, we handle the margin on our own, and then the other protocol handle the margin. I mean, like the other option protocol, like primitive, they handle the margin on their own. But if someone can actually close margin, this actually bring a lot of benefit to the traders. So I do feel that they will be like an aggregator in the future. The second thing is that we see like an inflow from like China, but to be honest, we don't see a lot. And then from what we observe, I don't think they are also. I mean, of course, they are like some like new users, but I don't think on DYDX they have a lot of new users as well. Um, Mainly because, of course, like governments crank down, I think the things, but it actually affects the retails. But I don't think it affects the whales. So the whales still have their own ways to do things. They have their assets are somewhere in the world. They still operate. So that's just what I feel. I mean, like, yeah, we have like some like, I mean, like people, I mean, like community members in China, and I don't think they actually, I mean, like kind of like stop the trading because of the regulation. They still like do lots of things. So, yeah, so that's just why, I mean, why I heard. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. 'Cause I'd heard that like there was a lot more inflow, but I didn't really didn't really know what to think about that. That's an interesting take.
Yeah, you can, because everything is on chain. Actually, you can look at. I mean, like like for us, you can actually look at our like new user growth. I mean, people actually create those kind of dashboard on Uniswap. So Uniswap is a website that you can do some analysis on top of it. That's really cool. You can actually do the same thing on DYDX. You can check like how many new wallet actually deposit. So I mean, like at least like from our end, there's kind of like a spike, and then but it doesn't really. I don't really see that our user actually jump like twice or or triple because of this. Yeah.
What was the name of that site?
Oh, sure. I will pass it in the chat. Doing analytics. Yeah. So yeah, it's really cool. I mean, we use it a lot. It has all the on-chain data on some of the blockchain, and then you can run the SQL on top of it.
Great. Nobody else has any questions, and I think we can probably wrap here. Yeah, thanks so much. This was super interesting to hear more about Protocol and kind of like your views on it and how the space is evolving.
Yeah. So yeah, also like very like honored to be here. Like, thanks for having me.
Of course. All right. Take care.